Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. 6 o'clock. Exactly. Let's see, what do we have here? Not much, really. I was really looking forward to reviewing some records.
We'll definitely have it for the next one. Quite a few.
All right, roll call
Yes, Chair Dent,
here.
Vice Chair Sumavia,
Here.
and let me know if I get the name pronunciations wrong. Commissioner Cooley.
Here.
Commissioner McCauley. Commissioner Sandu.
Here. Okay, presentations to Open Government Commission. Do we have any public comments?
We have no speakers at this time.
Okay, we'll close that. Consent calendar. Approval of February 8th, 2024 regular meeting minutes. That is the last time that we met.
I know, that seems so long ago.
It was a year ago, a year and a month. All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the consent calendar.
All right, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
Thank you. Really, second? All right,
Call the vote.
vote
Aye.
All in favor?
in favor, yes.
Yes.
Any opposed?
Okay, our favorite subject, unfinished business. Yay. 5.1, open government ordinance, old, emphasis on old,
Yeah.
training video. What do we have to say about that?
I understand that there was work being done on updating the video. I don't know where that actually stands. I mean, it's been a year. So I don't know. So the question then really is before the commission and the committee, if there's anything that.
Yep.
we can Get on or we need to do some.
Where did we leave off?
In
We-
reading it, it looked like there was something being worked on, like a PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah,
That was gonna be included with the video, but I didn't see anything included.
Yeah.
Other than the video.
in the meeting minutes, it was identified that the clerk had a PowerPoint presentation that he was using to onboard commissioners. And we would incorporate that in the video. Yeah, but it didn't get passed off.
Right. So, the other thing that we talked about though was utilizing CMAP to do videos, and we each, or whoever wants to, take part in, here's what you need to know about the Open Government Commission. And I mean, it's kind of pulls from that, but also just to give the public something to know that might pique their interest.
I think that's wonderful.
Mhm.
So, but we started and stopped because of the lack of people, basically. But I mean, I would still love to do that.
Yeah, I think we should roll it into our next work plan for 26, 27, as well as 25.
Yeah.
I think where we left on the meeting minutes towards, well, our last meeting we had was a future agenda item for all commissioners to review the OGO and recommend changes as one of our responsibilities and powers. Because now that I've gotten a little bit more acquainted with the open government ordinance, there's a lot of things I'm seeing that I think need to be revised,
Yeah.
updated, changed.
Well, it's a very broad ordinance.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And it doesn't, it's not intuitive necessarily.
I agree.
Is
So-
the intent of this video for new members of the commission?
So that 2016 one is, but it was presented to the council and all the commissions at that time, but it's horrible. Did you look at it at all?
No.
Yeah, don't do it.
It's-
It's horrid. It's, you can't hear a lot of it and there's noise. I mean, it's just terrible. So we were determined to get another one going and there was a lot of enthusiasm for it. And then we never had a
People
quorum
pulled
again after February. So,
Even if
also
there
for
isn't.
new- It's also for new employees as well. We onboard new employees who have them watch the video, so they're aware of all the requirements of the go.
right.
But like I said, it's.
Even if there was a pamphlet that goes over, I mean, I get that you need technology and whatnot to do videos and time and whatnot. But someone can just at least document, here are the 5 things you should know
Yeah.
in the 5 days.
You've already learned one. You can't email all of us at one time.
I can't ask for coffee with everybody. Yes.
Yes, so even the city council has to do that on Saturdays with the coffee with the mayor. If 4 of them show up, 1 of them has to leave. So,
It would be an official meeting.
yeah, so.
Is there any way that like council do they have anything that would fit in this already on hand? That, you know, they train on anywhere?
As far as materials, I'm not aware. There's an orientation process. And so that usually end up meeting with multiple department heads, It's usually a pretty long process. And so I believe the city attorney does go over OGA with them.
Okay.
I don't know how formalized it is, like handouts, that kind of documents.
Do they have
We
anything
can
that's a
search
little
for
bit,
that,
I could
but-
say like a little bit more, you know, to date?
More up to date. Did
On
Andy
any
do
of it?
that with people still?
That's what I'm wondering.
I'll see if it might be Andy, it might be Jolie, it could be. Yeah, I have to see and talk to Jimmy and the city attorney's office to find out.
I mean, we
if he
must
would
have at least like a handbook with the open government ordinance in it. Some blip about the Brown Act. And your duties as a commissioner. I was sure I saw that.
There's a handbook for commissioners. I know Ty was working on or had finished it. Let's see if we can find that as well.
How do we reach out to Ty?
He's in Fremont, I think. Isn't he?
Union City.
Union
Yeah,
City.
so I have a contact with them. I can.
Yeah.
See if he
It's
still has
really
the
digging
PowerPoint.
through the files, because of like, with any position and turnover. The city, the file system starts to degrade and each person does file in their own way.
Right.
Mhm.
So blending former city clerks and ties and an interim, and then when city staff covers in between.
Things
It
that
gets a little messy, so.
Imagine if we had a big city.
Even if it's the first meeting, for example, this is our first meeting of this year. If we had like 5 minutes to talk about, hey, here are the 5 things you should know. You don't necessarily have to have a PowerPoint if we can't
Yeah.
get there.
Oh, yeah, but we also have to present once a year to the city council and they love presentations.
I see.
Shane's our star there.
Mhm.
Well, and I think the way the OGO is outlined, you know, talks about meetings, talks about records requests, and then the Open Government Commission. So that's kind of the straw man, but I think we can get to the Brown Act stuff pretty easy.
Yeah.
The challenge I'm having is with the public records requests, because there's timelines in that, and I'd really like legal counsel to say, here's when the clock starts.
Right.
Here's
Yeah.
when it goes to appeal.
Yeah.
We really,
Hey, did you get locked out? Oh. You have business cards. Can you just note Polly has come? Have a seat.
Am I late?
Yeah, start at 6.
Oh, shoot. I thought it was,
We're
I thought
recording.
it was 6:15.
No, you're just like 9.
So, yeah.
This is unusual for her to be late. I know her personally. Do you know Sandu?
I was very shocked too. I was like,
Sorry.
something must have happened.
And you know Dan. Do you know Shane?
I do.
yeah.
I,
Yeah.
yes,
And of course, you know our friend Bryce. Okay, so we're on 5.1 and 5 generally. Well, so we just to catch you up, we're talking about the old terrible video, training video, and how we started a plan to do something different last year, but we ended up not having a quorum for 3/4 of the year. So we had no progress.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of progress like for a minute, but then that was it.
Okay.
So
I did watch the video.
Bryce is gonna get us whatever materials he can, having to do with the Brown Act and the ordinance and
For the commissioner handbook,
commissioner's
you look on the videos in the past
Right.
and the training PowerPoint that Ty was working on or had finished. Let's see what information materials we can get.
And what would be our intent once we have those?
I think to assemble like a straw man of training, like, here's what we think should be incorporated in the training, and then get down to a level where,
Like a table of contents that we want.
Mhm.
and what's our delivery method? Is it a video? Is it
Right. And if it's a video,
recorded PowerPoint?
we could put it online, on the Open Government Commission page or the whatever, Open Gilroy, somewhere on there.
Well, because right now it just has a broken link. So
It-
it doesn't
You
look
couldn't
great.
get there yet. Yeah. I think you're trying.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't look the best either to not have, to say, here's the training and then there not be a training, so.
Well, you have no idea how good that was. Like, there was no training there because it's terrible. It's really terrible. But anyway,
And I guess delivery wise for our next meeting, I can have like an outline of what I think the training should encompass.
that's what I was waiting for.
And, and then get the commission's feedback, vector check, and if we need to move on from there, we can definitely do that. But
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Did everybody get sworn in?
Yes.
So I haven't been sworn in. Is that you or?
Let me talk to, I need to talk to Andy's office to find out. So acting city clerk, there's a debate whether I need to be sworn in to
As a
swear in others.
Yeah, I know. I should have got that.
So, I'll follow from Andy. just to
Okay,
find out.
you've been sworn. Yeah, of course you have. So we actually forgot something at the beginning of the meeting. Because the term is new, we need to nominate a new chair and a new vice chair.
Yes, and the meeting schedule.
And the meeting schedule, exactly. So, do we want to finish 5.2 and then, talk about it after 5.2?
Yeah, let's,
Okay, so work plan for 24 and 25. Is that you?
no, so this would be the commission, so there'd be anything that was on the work plan previously. If there's any
Okay.
final updates before starting to talk about, 26 and 27 kind of.
Right, okay. So can we now talk about nominations?
Sorry, one question. On this work plan, what does that mean? Work plan of what we are going to do through the year?
Mhm.
Okay, got it. And can we see it?
Well, we have to develop it first,
I see.
but yes, definitely. And we should, I mean, I like your enthusiasm already. We should keep that at the forefront so that we actually accomplish it.
Right,
That was the downfall last year. We didn't accomplish it.
goals first, so you
Yeah.
can meet them.
Yes, and then
Got
maybe a timeline and,
Yeah.
just an outline.
So
for the
are we
year.
gonna discuss
So-
what we want on the work plan tonight?
That is on the agenda for
Yeah.
6.1.
Okay.
So I will say the appointment of chair and vice chair and the schedule is not on the agenda. So we can approve that. It's not an action, I mean, it's an action item, but it's not a business item for lack of a better term. So we can discuss if there's a motion and a second and an action to amend the agenda to add that. I think we're okay.
We can
it's
ratify it at the
easy.
next meeting,
That might be.
but I mean, it's like a whole 3 months
3
away.
months.
So,
So I have.
I mean, we could wait.
So I went ahead and kept, because the last seats that were held were, you were chair, I believe, already. I don't know if you were vice chair.
He's vice chair. He was vice chair.
So I don't know, I mean, it's ideal to do that at the beginning of the year. This one's a little odd because it's quarterly only. We could wait until the next meeting to take that action, just let the previous office be held for this meeting.
Okay,
That works. That might be the cleaner,
okay,
easier way to.
all right. Okay, so now we are on to, I'm sorry.
Oh, just a couple things for 5.2,
Mhm.
especially for Commissioner Sandu. During our last term, we did the frequently asked questions.
The FAQs.
Yeah, we presented it. I don't know whether staff,
Yeah, there was also, you did the presentation about virtual participation in
Right.
meetings to council. That was another item that was done. There was a great presentation that was given to council about that.
and on that topic,
Mhm.
in the July 29th meeting, council, I guess, agreed to receive some of our recommendations, but I hadn't heard, was there any anything that came to fruition from that.
Yeah,
And it wasn't gonna be to institute hybrid.
to
hybrid
discuss.
Yeah, but it would be, I think, code of conduct if you're a public speaker.
Right.
Yeah, so the previous council, we did start, working on that one before the elections happened, so.
Okay.
The strategic planning now for council for the next 2 years, and so that's one of the items to look at is, okay, what was on the work plan beforehand? What's been brought before, and does council want to carry that on? Do they want to change direction? How's that?
So when does that come up?
So we had the first strategic planning session on the weekend. There's a couple more that are scheduled for certain topics, I believe. As far as when in that schedule is, I'm not sure.
So, but it has come up, it will come up during
It
strategic
will come
planning.
Yeah, because we'll have, each of the departments will have their work plans over the council legislative agenda. And so part of that discussion is looking at what was on the work plans before. And that was one of the items that was previously discussed with council.
When's the next strategic planning meeting?
I couldn't say, I think it's gonna be part of one of the, during a normal council meeting is the next one, but I'm not sure exactly
Really?
which meeting it's gonna be at. I think there's a discussion again, I have to be careful because I don't know that there's been a full consensus yet as far as establishing which date specifically. I believe it's gonna be one of the lead an item on one of the normal council meetings, so they'll talk about certain specific subjects, I believe is the intent, so.
Okay,
One of the items that were identified during the Saturday session,
let's keep our eyeballs open.
or sorry, Wednesday
Coming.
session.
Alright,
And Bryce, if our new commission decides to present to the new city council, same topic, hybrid public meetings, would that just be our communication letter to the council? And if they wanna hear the presentation with the new members and decide then?
Yeah, so any recommendation that's there, or any recommendation from the commission is presented as council correspondence to, from normal agenda. There's a template letter that we put together for commissions to relay that communication to them. And that point, it's up to one of the council members who want to initiate the future agenda item request process. They can then bring that to council if council agrees to hear it.
That's what you sent here, this letter? Is that,
No, that one's a little different. So that's part of our budget process. So during each budget cycle, we gather information from each commission on what plan items they want in budget requests to be incorporated into the budget process. So that will be heard by council. So on the work plan that you propose for 26 and 27, if whatever items are on that is listed as a work plan that goes to council to approve it, then that's the anticipation that the commission will be working on that going forward.
okay,
And so presentations are likely possible. They'll still go through that correspondence process for being heard by council, but it's
Got it.
the anticipation, anything that's part of that process will be an item that's worked over the next 2 years.
so are there any, conferences that you know about? Ty used to tell us what was coming up with the city's agendas.
Like
And
the
meetings.
League of California.
Yeah.
I don't have that information gathered, but I can gather that and send out by correspondence to the commission.
I think that's a good idea. And then whoever wants to participate, either go to a conference if sometimes they're in Monterey, which is really easy to get to, but, then we could put in for the budgeting process, I guess. So that would be good. When I started, it was just virtual, which was so much easier,
Which is what?
so much easier.
I think we're wrapping up the 24 and 25 discussion. Is there anything else on that before moving into the new work?
Okay, so thoughts on what we want to work on besides videos or the training materials?
so this would be for 26, 27. This work plan, or is this for 24, 25?
Well, I suppose it's a carryover from 24, but
Yeah, so it sounds like we're moving on to item 6.1,
Mhm.
sounds like. And so the first topic for 6.1 is, does the commission want to carry over the video / training or logo into the new work plan?
I would say we do.
Yeah. Hey, Bryce,
No, we don't need a motion for that, do we?
It would help, like, so once the full list of the work plan is created, it would help to have a motion, a full action to identify this is the work plan going forward. And then as part of that, there's any budget requests from that work plan. That can get to them, or any kind of staff demand or,
And what's the deadline for the work plan?
end of this month.
It's good to know.
So if we're not meeting for another 3 months, how do we do this through email? Or,
So one of the things, so for Arts and Culture Commission, this is what I found is effective in this regard. So once the work plan is created, so let's say adopt the work plan tonight, one of the things I'd have our Arts and Culture Commissioners identify subcommittees. Especially important, I think, in this case, because you have only meet quarterly. So progress on items is going to take a long time if you wait to meet.
Mm-hmm.
So have the commission take action to create the subcommittees, and those subcommittees then meet as frequently as they can based on the work they're doing. And then what they do is each meeting at the regular meeting, they come back and report out, this is what we've done, get feedback from the full commission. So that way work continues even though you can't meet.
Got it.
Normal.
And one question on
Sure.
the subcommittees, who would be involved in that?
The commission as a whole decides that. So
Meaning,
once,
would we bring people from outside of us?
in theory, you could, that's not really, it gets dicey. So the subcommittee has to stay in for a body this size under 2 in order, because once you hit 3, it's quorum and it's a
Got
full
it.
meeting. You could engage outside people if there's an expert you want to engage in, something like that. Generally, the thought is that the subcommittee of 2 members are the ones doing the work and making that report back to the commission. You could have somebody that's participating. Again, if you're doing research, let's say your subcommittee's doing research and you want to bring somebody to one of the meetings as a public speaker or something on that particular item, that can be arranged. But
Thank
the core is the 2 members of the subcommittee, if that's the commission.
Understood. I think like if you want to develop the new ones, it would be helpful to see what were the previous ones and what was the progress against that. So then you can gauge, okay, what do we know we've made progress on in the past and what should we sign up for in the coming year? No?
Yeah, the challenge, because we did the subcommittees for the hybrid public meetings, and I started it, and then the second person I had kind of fell off.
We're not sure if she went into witness protection or not.
So even though it was a subcommittee, it was me. You know,
I see.
which kind of made it hard, but then
It's
when
hard to
we,
make progress that
Yeah.
way. Right.
and then it just ended up being her and I, we couldn't even hold a meeting.
Right. So let's put progress aside for a
Mhm.
second. What were even just the goals, aspirational goals that we started off with? Those would be helpful as we think about for the new year, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that primarily the goals were to refresh and update, make the information relevant. And so anybody who has any interest could click on it and watch it. I think we were talking about it on the website,
Yeah.
primarily. I would like to see it on CMAP. People apparently watch that. I don't know how they do it, but apparently they do. And because it's a local channel, I guess. So I don't know what else.
I think from the last 12 months of experience, one of my goals is gonna be like recruiting and retention. That killed us this last year. Well, I mean, we couldn't even get a quorum. We couldn't even move any of our efforts forward because 2 other commissioners weren't able to complete their term. And I think a lot of it was reluctance from the public, maybe didn't know what's OGO even do.
Yeah.
So top line, I'd be like, recruiting and retention.
Right.
Mhm.
So we don't have that problem again.
Yeah,
And it's not just this commission, but it's lots of
Yeah.
commissions.
Yeah, it's a super important commission.
it
Yes,
really
It
is.
is for people to know what's going on and have that transparency to know what's going on in their city and get engaged. Super important.
Mhm. And they should know that if they get denied, a record that they ask for, we are the body they come to complain about it and,
Part of the appeals
Yeah.
process.
yeah. So a
So
lot of
one,
people don't know that.
so one of the work plan items I jotted down was drafting a proclamation that the city council can approve, declaring the week of 17 November through 21 November, Open Government Week. And then we could, depending on what we want to do, if we want to set a
I like
roll
that
a
show
idea.
of
table?
some sort. Yeah.
Mhm.
in front of the city council meets on the 17th, we can ask a commissioner like what Lucy and Linus when they were doing, handing out agendas. Hey, do you have questions about?
Right.
Yeah, here's who we are, here's what we do,
Yeah.
how can you get involved? Kind of talk about our mission.
Yeah.
And the time frame was just because that's when the 17 November was when the OGO was adopted in 2008. So if we use that week,
Yeah. Yeah.
It has significance.
Makes sense. I also think this is not just OGO, but some of the events that go on downtown, I think that the city should pop up a tent and have a commissioner or some representative from whoever wants to of the commissions and have some information there so that people stay interested, not just in our commission, but some of the others. I think you just don't hear about them enough until it's like time to apply. And unless you know somebody who's on that commission or you do some independent research, or call the city clerk, then you don't necessarily know what's entailed.
I mean, I know the library does a lot of events, just partnering with them, and it's a nice
Yeah, they're
facility.
amazing.
There are a lot of people who come in, so you'll get a lot of traffic too.
Mhm. That would be to you.
Done.
So what other things, I mean, have you thought of other things that should be on our work plan?
So I think, we should look at doing a code of ethics.
Code of ethics, absolutely. That was high on our list. Well, code of conduct but ethics, you're talking about for the city council, for people speaking to it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For leadership.
Mhm.
And then another thing is, the Spanish translations at the council meetings, and that if we're open government and we're trying to communicate, equitably, we need to do better at city council meetings.
Mhm. What went wrong with that system? You can't see it and it's not a good translation, apparently.
Well, so that's new because we have others, and so it may be a dialect issue with Spanish, like which dialect of Spanish is doing, because we have others. We've got a city employee that's one on our test one that's reviewed, so the translations are good.
But you just can't
So-
see it at all.
Yeah, so
Right,
we're,
I mean.
so as far as size and speed, yeah, so we increased the size on the distant computer, but the problem is that it makes it go up faster. Because the text is bigger. So we're working on it with IT right now on some updates to the chambers right now. First focusing on audio, because we're having some audio.
I was
issues.
gonna say,
But we'll say there is an option, so anybody that has a smartphone can scan the QR code, have the translation right there on their
Mhm.
phone
That's
or
helpful.
tablet,
Mhm.
and can go at their own pace through it. We're actually looking at possibly trying to see if we can find some old iPads to repurpose for just purely translation services. So we're looking into the options. As far as the facilities, that's one thing we did have is the monitor on the left-hand side when you're looking.
The
at
small
dials.
area.
On the big one on the wall.
Oh,
It's designed to carry the image of the projector screen because anybody in that audience section can't see the projector screen. Some have asked for the translation to be on that screen as well.
Yes.
But right now the infrastructure is set up to do that. So that's one thing we're looking at as well. So there's modifications and plans and they're kind of being worked out right now to enhance that. But it's just going to take time to test it and see what works.
okay. And so, the last city council meeting, it seemed like we had, one person who was an interpreter.
Yeah, so so the city's hired an interpreter for the public hearings for the district union.
Oh, okay.
Just because it's such such a critical function, a big change in how people are represented in government. So the thought is to have live interpretation services for that.
Okay.
So so there's other things that really require live interpretation services like the street vendors. I mean, there's been some pretty significant issues. How do we determine what is significant enough to require a translator? Who determines that?
They've never done it where they have audio, where it's like even done through AI or something like that, where they can hear it.
So the AI, so Wordly does do that. But they just have to have it on their device with earbuds.
So they bring their own.
They can hear that. So
Okay.
that it does do interpretation live through the AI. In person, as long as we are notified at a schedule, I think it's 72 hours. something
Yeah,
like that,
minimum of
for
72
for
hours.
interpretation. On Wordly does that, we can for certain things, have, interpretation there, but ultimately, the commission can make those recommendations. And then the council can consider it. So you make a recommendation as part of the work plan process to talk about that.
Yeah, I think we should
What's-
really look much more into the way the meetings are translated. And then also imagine coming in, not speaking the language. What directs you that you would scan that on your phone?
Yeah.
Where you like,
Didn't know that was available.
yeah, like, so
I couldn't.
Yeah.
really kind of either do we have someone at the beginning of the meeting make an announcement in Spanish? Like, we can talk about how to really make sure that people are clear on how to understand it. And I think,
Mhm.
Well, that would be something we could put on our page too.
yes,
Like,
that's,
here is where you would find the QR code at any time to be able to log into this.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
that's pretty
Yeah, I
important
didn't
for
know
us.
that was available.
Me neither.
but I think if you think about the people who are attending, who probably not even going on our page, we really need, like, they come in and it's really clear, this is how we're gonna make sure that you understand it, and then how you're gonna be able to participate. Because that's the other part that's really intimidating. So if you have a public comment and you don't speak English,
Yeah.
I just think our commission needs to really
Mm.
create a strong plan that shows that the city is,
Well, and interested
Transparent.
and transparent,
yeah,
all the
being-
things they should aspire to, right?
I'm
All the
being
things that
nice.
are, all the words that are pretty much in the ordinance.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, so,
yeah.
so that I think would be a good thing for our plan. Two good things for.
Okay, yeah, I have that. So, Anne Marie, along the lines, I know you've been talking about the ethics, code of ethics for a while. Do you have any sort of draft of what you are
So
thinking?
other
or-
cities have them
Mhm.
and they vary,
They do vary a lot.
you know, it's not like we have to get Aristotle involved here. I mean, it's not,
That would be tough.
it's not, it's just a basic code of ethics. So I think we can use that as a guide.
Okay.
I don't think it's that
And
hard.
customize it versus starting from scratch because you say it's
It's already done.
available on their site.
Yeah.
And I think we need to ask the public, what is it that they feel is ethically questionable so that we can know what we need to address in that code?
How do you propose doing that?
Talk to people. You know? That's how it came up. I mean, that's how I got all this information and all these examples. So I think once you kind of know, okay, this is what we're doing, and then you just kind of say, hey, what do you think would be important on the code of ethics for our city?
Do we ever do online surveys?
I was just gonna say, we could do something, a Survey Monkey or something like that.
Monkey.
I mean, we do.
I got it.
City survey, I mean, that gets sent out. I don't know what the participation levels or the metrics are on that, but
So there are city surveys, we need to talk about that. So commissions, so the work of commissions are done by the commissions themselves. The commissioners do the work and
Mhm.
to grant access to the city's account, I'd have to talk a lot about check our cybersecurity policy, check with our communication engagement. So there's some coordination. I can't say, yes, we can use it.
Mhm.
We need to do some investigation, but we can look at it.
But
And the key thing is make sure, so one thing, so. Because it's the commission doing the work, so we encountered this also with some of the other commissions worked on, is once the work plan. Everything you have so far is lofty. I'm gonna tell you, that's a lot of work you have.
Yeah.
So I'd say still put the ideas, but really think about how much time that you each can invest into this, because you'll be the one doing the research and doing the surveys, gauging that. So I just want to kind of, so just to make that point, just to make sure everybody's aware of that. But we can, I mean, it's a possibility, but I have to, we have to do some investigation just to make sure that we don't trip any policies up.
I don't know if we need to go crazy getting surveys about a code of ethics. It's pretty standard, I would say. But I do think that if there's people who feel that in some way it hasn't been ethical, then we ask them why and how. But I don't know if we have to go to a huge extent. I
The
think,
only problem I see with that though is if you're only asking specific people, you're not getting a broad range of response.
Well, the other thing is, I think we draft something.
Right.
Yeah.
And then people can comment like,
Correct.
hey,
Yeah.
how come you guys left out, this?
and we could put that on our social media, even as individual citizens, and say, this is what we came up with. If you want to have a comment, come to public comment. But I think for probably writing it, we probably don't need,
Right.
I
I think you start with the framework.
Yeah.
And then people can chime in.
Well, you put it out there and if people, like you're saying, want to come and have comment or want to engage, then they do. If they feel it's important, they're gonna
Yeah.
make it an important.
And our emails are on the website, so did you guys get hooked up with the city
Yes.
Yeah.
email?
No.
So, no?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so your email has been set up. I know that, so they may just not have sent you did they send you did you get the sheet, an email from Beth about how to create your email? Like
Can
how
I-
to access it?
Yes, so let's talk offline
Okay.
after this.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
I know
sounds
to
good.
talk to you today. Sorry, going back to the survey piece, right? Do we also have some feedback from the past about what have we heard? Like, is there some data available that we can leverage alongside looking at other cities' data?
Well, all of the city council meetings are recorded, so Anne Marie and I show up to just about every single one. We have witnessed quite a bit.
Okay, so you would know there are some themes about, well, the public is asking for this or they're asking for that. And so we need to be mindful and thoughtful about incorporating that in the code of conduct, right?
Yes. And it's not, again, it's not like we're reinventing the wheel or we need to get a big philosophical. The ones that I've read and the ones that have been presented to me are really simple, and I think it's a guide. I think that one person said we should try to get in front of things before they happen, so that if there is a conduct issue, that maybe we have gotten in front of it prior, and then that could save us in legal fees and a lot of other things that happen when conduct goes awry from an elect. So I think that it still will be pretty vague, but it will maybe get in front of some of that. So,
Well, and if it's there, then everyone's on the same page of this is how we act.
Yeah.
And this is what's acceptable.
So, I mean, what do you guys think about putting together two people to deal with Shane's agenda as far as like the training and updating the video and what is entailed in that? Because you need at least two people, and then two people to put together something regarding the code of ethics.
I'd like to do the training.
And I'd
That would
love
be
to
awesome.
partner with you perhaps on the,
There's two other items that I have this as well. The Open Government Week
Open Government Week
and the
is,
Spanish translation review. Or
yeah,
Translation interpretation review.
so I don't know, maybe you and I can talk about that.
Well, I mean, we can go into 6.1 and look at 26 and 27 on some of these things too.
Well, that is what we're talking about.
Well,
Yeah.
I thought we were doing this stuff in 25. I thought we were
No.
still on the 24 and 25.
I'm sort of ambitious to get as much done this year as possible, this year and next year,
Yeah.
because that's really what 8 meetings, possibly. I mean, and some of this stuff is gonna take a lot.
So fiscal year 25 ends in June, so you have one more
Oh,
meeting.
we're talking about this.
Yeah, these are all
Yeah.
fiscal year.
Uh,
So in reality,
so
this
then
one
that
is
is
kind of,
26.
this one's right,
Yeah.
it really is the 26th.
Okay.
So your
Okay.
June 30 end.
I
That's good.
personally,
Thank
I
you.
feel like the translation is more important than the code of ethics.
Right, well, and hopefully easier to solve. So we'll say translation services is, we look at that and come up with a plan or
Well,
suggestion
some of that
to
really does rely on what the city can do technically.
what's in there.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, so the way I would recommend is to identify, is have the commission or the subcommittee identify its list recommendations. What if in an ideal structure, how would interpretation translation services work? And then, once we have that recommendation from the commission, then at that point, that's where the discussion, okay, how can we achieve that? Because there's the policy level, which is the commission's recommendation. The nuts and bolts of how to deliver on those recommendations is an operational decision and a financial decision
Right.
process with the building design. And there's a lot of other factors that we have to do. So the commission shouldn't go down to that level detail. It's really, okay, what's the goal, what's the aspiration, and are there things that you see that you're recommending that work? And then we would then have a team of IT and the city clerk, and council, and facilities try to work and see, okay, what can we do to potentially deliver that?
Mhm.
Evaluate that for council.
so is it, does it entail like writing you a letter or Jimmy a letter?
So it's really, yes, there's typically a format letter, and basically the commission would then adopt whatever that formal recommendation is, working, with input from the subcommittee.
Mm-hmm.
And then that gets crafted into that letter, and then it's sent, basically provided to either myself or Jimmy as the liaison. It's a little different for the other commissions because it routes through everybody, that basically give that to Jimmy. At that point, then it comes, council correspondence, council agenda, and then it starts that process.
Okay, all right, so that could be done in the short term. Do you want to do that with me?
Yes.
Okay,
And also there was a woman, trustee of Gavilan College, who did make a public comment at the last meeting about the translation, and I would like to talk to her if we're allowed, because she used it and she used the AI translation, and so it might be helpful to get some, I can figure out who that was, but to get someone who hands-on was like, I mean, I know the basic problem of the person coming in, but then maybe she could give us some insight too. And I think we could
who
get
was
that
that? Do you
done.
recall?
I can't remember her name,
I don't.
but I can find out easily.
I think that's a fantastic to engage her.
Yeah.
If she's brought it up.
Yeah, and it
we're
was,
gonna do this, I think that'd be,
and she's a, trustee at Gavilan, and she was.
Oh,
very-
you're talking about, she's from Morgan Hill. She's a teacher. I know exactly.
But it was incredible because, again, there's all these people who are affected by it, but none of them know how to say that because they don't speak English. And so she really articulated that at public comment. So I think that's helpful.
Mhm.
I agree.
Okay. That sounds good. Lorena is her first name. She's a trustee up there. She ran against Alex. Lorena, 2 last names.
Yeah, we could do that.
Sorry for the tangent. I know you mentioned some of you attend all city meetings. Is that good practice for us?
It is valuable for me
Yeah, that's why I'm here right now. Yes.
to see
Okay.
things happening in person. I highly encourage it. Obviously, I'm not sure, logistically, I'm not sure, I mean, we can't sit together. Anne Marie and I do because she's just on the commission now, but
I sit alone.
yeah, Janet
I don't need
doesn't
to
sit by us.
anyone.
But I mean,
Fine.
if we're, a few of us are there, I mean, is that, as long as we're not sitting together?
It's as long as you're not sitting together, and as long as you're not talking about, this is where there's a danger.
Mhm.
So under open government and transparency laws, anytime the majority of the body discusses the topic that's within its subject, jurisdiction is a formal meeting. It has to be noticed
Mhm.
and advertised. Coincidentally, your subject matter is council meetings. And so if you're attending council meeting and you guys are talking about council meeting outside of this formal agendized meeting. meetings,
Right.
That's a violation.
Yes, you would
So-
not want to see, we would not want the public to see us talking about what just happened.
Well, it's not just seeing,
Well,
it's
or,
also not actually talking about it.
yeah, and not actually talking
Yeah,
about it.
sorry, it's.
No, I
have to kind
understand.
of stress that. So
And,
the.
but could we, so sorry
No,
to
go
interrupt
ahead.
you, but could we
Bring it
talk
here.
about it here in this meeting though?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
As long as it gets.
that's fine.
Once it's agendized and it's a topic that's on here. Actually, you had to stay on the topics that are on the agenda because the whole purpose is that the public then knows what you're talking about. If they
Right.
want to participate, they can. So if it's about Spanish translation, you have it on the work plan and the work plan is one of your items. Fine. If you want to bring in something else outside of the things that are on your work plan as a discussion topic, that would be a violation if it's not something on the same agenda. So
So, and the way to get things on the agenda is to,
it's basically, so like, as part of this agenda would be asking if there's anything that you want to put.
Agendized.
Future agenda item request for the site.
Got
The
it.
commission then decides, yeah, we want that on the agenda for the next meeting, then we'll put that on the agenda for next meeting and we discussed.
I feel like if you wanna get immersed, that's the way then. And
It is.
those meetings happen once a month?
twice. You also can watch them online. I
Okay.
mean, you can watch it live or you can watch it later. The city has a YouTube channel
That's what.
and that's valuable. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
you-
And you can watch it anytime.
At
So
any time,
You
yeah.
can watch it the next day. I watch a lot of the other commission meetings.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the commission meetings are recorded, even the downtown commission meeting.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, good, good. That should be,
Battalion Commission one of those.
Okay.
that one's fascinating.
Yeah.
And that has a huge impact on everything in Guilford. So, okay, where are we?
So we're still in 6.1. So right now I have, so the 4 items. So let me go through. So I only have a subcommittee for the Spanish translation interpretation service, which is Commissioner and Diana.
Mhm.
I have the video training for OGO. I have that as Shane, and then I don't know.
Janet,
Janet.
Brule.
Sorry, I'll eventually get calling you by Commissioner, your
That's
last name,
okay.
it's just gonna take me a bit to get my brain around it. We have the Open Government Week proclamation and events. Is there a subcommittee for that?
I'll do the request for a proclamation, bring it at the 8 May, we can decide and then do the activities based on that.
So
It's
no
just a draft.
subcommittee.
Yeah,
Okay.
Just
I'll have that
get some
for.
recognition from the council.
for-
Code of ethics or leadership, is that something that we were pursuing in the work?
So that was Commissioner
Sharpie, Nana.
Sandu and Commissioner McCauley.
Okay, so those are the 4 items. Okay. So is there anything else that you want to have added? Is there anything we would talk about more, or is the commission ready to take an action to say this is the work plan?
I have one question about emailing in the Brown Act. So are we allowed to email each other?
Not
You can
more
email
than,
about, so the one thing you can email about, so, sorry, I have this as my fault because it's something that was said earlier. Were you, the new members, were you given any orientation?
No,
yes, that's
So when you do
terrible.
that. when you do
Besides the training video.
that- Okay, so what I'll do is I'll work to try to do an orientation with you. So I'm gonna do with the Arts and Culture Commission. I'll make some modifications for open government, because certain things we go over, like the Brown Act and so others we go through open government ordinance. We've obviously read and familiar with some of that one. We talk about Brown Act and how to kind of protect it from that. Typically, there's a danger in communicating by email to each other because essentially it can create a meeting, right? So there's a couple different ways the Brown Act can be violated. Daisy chain meetings are one, spoken wheel kind of meetings where you end up interacting with enough of the other commissioners where an opinion is generated.
Mm,
And that triggers a violation because all that discussion is supposed to happen in an agendized meeting.
mm,
So you can email each other talking about things like scheduling a special meeting or availability for a meeting item. Attending a training, like coordinating like a trip, like travel to a training. So coordination about presence for certain things, but again, really restricted. Anything beyond that is a risk, which is why generally when we email out to the commissioners, we'll blind curse copy all the commissioners' emails, so you can't accidentally hit reply all and trigger violation.
I gotcha. That's
So-
what I was wondering. So you
And it
couldn't
takes three,
say,
there are three of us, because there's only 5 on the commission.
like,
So-
hey, you guys,
And there's-
here's a draft and
Yeah.
hit send all. You can't,
No.
it has to come here.
Yeah, so generally, whenever you're wanting to do a correspondence or send draft documents, you want to work through your executive sponsor or your staff liaison. And so you would provide a draft to say you have a subcommittee works on a draft and hey, you want to have it. The safest way is to include it on an agenda for other
Got
meeting to review. We can always send out the agenda and the packet early if with enough time. The other thing we can do then is if I send it out and blind Kirsty copy, having interactions with each other that will
Right.
reveal that you think favorably or disfavorably about certain particular topic.
Mhm.
So send it to you.
Yes, that's.
Okay.
Well,
that's what
really,
we do.
are we sending it to you or sending it to Jimmy?
For
Jimmy and
the
you.
timing, it's Jimmy and I. So Jimmy's executive sponsor. So the way we have it structured, there's an executive sponsor for the commission and staff liaison. Staff liaison typically is the one that handles more of the administrative aspects, agendas, minutes, working on item information. Executive sponsor, again, it varies a little bit with each commission. Executive sponsor is generally the person that's kind of providing that senior leadership function. It's usually a department head position. In this case, it's a little different because it's a city clerk and a city administrator. Whereas to others, it's usually like a department head as executive sponsor and then a mid-manager for the
Mhm.
staff needs. With that being said, so generally at this point, be sending Jimmy, copying me at this point, and once the city clerk is, the city clerk is hired, it'll be through that person. And that would be the way to share documents and they can also be the resource if you have questions as you go to make sure that if you're wanting to correspond or send or have information and want to know that it's okay to engage with other commissioners about it. That's the safest way is to check and say, hey, this is what I'm going to do is compliant. And then they let you know. That's a good approach. But we'll coordinate on that because even like I mentioned, 3 is a trigger. Well, the 3 doesn't have to be the exact same time either. So if you
Right.
email one person, hey, what do you think? What do you think?
Mhm.
Now you've got 3. Even though you haven't
Yeah.
actually all talked. So it's really tricky.
But as we work on the subcommittee though.
Right.
And we are sharing ideas of the code of
Mhm.
conduct, that's okay.
You two.
Because it's
yeah.
It's just 2 of you.
You just the.
Yeah.
And we can email each other.
Yes, you can email each other
Right,
and
don't
interact
copy
that way.
others.
Don't
Yeah.
copy others. And then the key thing is that you're reporting out and getting engaged with the commission. It's done at a commission meeting what's
Sure.
on the agenda.
When we are ready, then we send it to someone like you.
Cool.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well,
So
not
we-
just someone
we-
like him.
We would,
You.
Not
No,
him.
the office,
Okay,
the city
yeah.
clerk, yeah.
so we would add like subcommittee reports to our next agenda, so then.
Absolutely. Yep.
So we can kind of talk about the flow for this one. I know for like the Arts and Culture Commission, I have a standing item every meeting.
Yeah.
To, work plan update. And so at that point, all the subcommittees will say, this is what we're working on, this is how it's going, and that's where the discussion happens.
I think we should also add like if there's anything from council meetings, like a council meeting follow-up or discussion.
All right, how do we, I would love that to be a standing
Yeah.
item.
Okay, so it can be a standing item if it's a discussion. So there's a difference between a discussion and an action, right? So you can have a discussion item on there without having the specifics and saying follow up of council meetings, but you can't take an action on it because the action
You have to
has
agendize
to
it.
be agendized
Right.
for what that action is.
We would have to discuss it before we were
Right.
gonna, to have any motion or
Yeah, so you can have a
agenda.
discussion item that would lead to potentially a future agenda item to take an action.
Yes.
That is possible.
Right.
So, I can I'll talk to Jimmy and see about,
The
putting
language
something
there.
permanently on the agendas going forward.
Mhm. That's right, government. Okay, do we have,
At this point, I have the floor and we have the subcommittee discussed. So at this point, it'd be up to the commission if you want to adopt this as your work plan going forward, or if there's anything you want to do before adopting it.
okay, can you just read them out and maybe we want to reorder them?
Sure. So, so I have, so this is in the order of the discussion of
Right,
them.
right.
Video or training on open government ordinance, and that is,
Commissioner
Commissioner
Somavia,
Segovia and
Commissioner
Crowley.
Crowley.
Crowley, sorry.
It's just Crewley.
It's
That's
Crowley?
the French,
Okay,
French, but we can just go Crewley.
well, what's your preference?
Crewley is, yeah,
Oh,
just the
okay.
standard.
Okay.
We don't have to get fancy.
Open Government Week proclamation and possibly some kind of tabling event for it. And that is, there's no subcommittee for that.
Shane will just- yeah,
Okay. Do you want that listed for you specifically or just to leave as a commission item?
I would actually like
And
that
hold
on
me
there.
accountable.
That's right, because you know how you are.
Flat.
So, yeah. I have code of ethics for leadership, and that is it
Commissioner McCauley
okay?
and Commissioner
Can
Sandu.
do.
Mhm.
Mhm. And then I have Spanish translation / interpretation services. There's also Commissioner McCauley and Commissioner Vance.
Yeah.
Okay.
And are we gonna revisit the hybrid that was kind of dropped?
Oh,
Well-
we did drop that, didn't we? They dropped it.
You
We-
did a lot
I
of
mean, they-
work,
Yeah, they
but
just said
wasn't
no.
The decision was not to do hybrid.
But what,
It
so
wasn't-
the presentation part of it,
They liked our presentation, did not carry
so we're
the,
not re-presenting, didn't you guys talk about something like in July or?
We did offer some recommendations as part of the hybrid and, I think Administrator Forbes presented to the council, hey, there are some good things in those recommendations. We'll bring it back to the council.
Right,
Yeah, I think there was one or two that were updated as part of like the actual agenda language on the agenda itself.
Yeah,
So some things have already been
adopted.
adopted and put into practice. There's, I think there was a couple others. One was I think it was a rules of civility, if I remember correctly.
I
Right,
was gonna say.
Right.
And so that
See if
was
you
something
can
that
use
was
that in
brought
your-
up as a potential work plan item or just an agenda item, but that is, again, that was the,
okay,
previous council discussion and they, I think carried that one forward. Yeah,
it's
I'd have to
not
see
been
where it stands
implemented,
now.
but they
That's
agreed.
okay.
Right, so we have a good start there, I would say. So what else was on that? It's been so long.
I'm just not, is it finished or is it,
I would say no, it's not finished.
okay, just, we
Well-
don't need to,
Depends on what you mean by finished.
like, I mean,
Dead in the water.
I don't
What-
think
what-
that they even remember what they adopted. I mean, because we have 3 new people. So,
I just felt, it was my impression from the meetings that it was just kind of hanging there. Like they heard it and it was gonna come back for more and then it never came back.
Yeah, the action I believe was no to hybrid.
Right,
That was the
right,
decision.
Yep.
And
It was
then
a
the-
terrible
like I
week
mentioned,
to
the
ask.
items that were brought up about that were their improvements list improvements. I think that was, we have actions taken from this. I believe they decided on those.
Okay,
But so I don't know if there's much, it's lingering that wasn't decided by the previous council.
okay,
That's why I was like, it depends on what you mean by finish.
Is there anything that needs to be revisited?
right.
I mean, we do have 3 new people on council.
yeah,
Yeah, and it
I'm
could be.
wondering, do they have, an orientation that would include that? I mean, for the new council members, even the mayor?
So there's new council member orientations that happen, still hours that have taken place with the council members, city administrator and various department heads and about. their roles as council members and they provide some information, but I don't have specific implementation.
I mean, I would be interested to know if they get a code of conduct. And, you know, this is what was adopted last year, whatever. I feel like it needs to be in writing.
And that would be good to have.
So I think what you're talking about, they do have the council norms, which I think is what you're talking about. Code of conduct. It talks about how council works together, works with staff, how they approach meetings. That is something that is provided to the council as they came in, and it's actually agreed upon, negotiated, adopted by the council. So
Yeah,
they
I feel like
did receive that.
it was a little different than that. But like,
Well, so we have the
The
hybrid
quorum.
research, but maybe we're just gonna just let that
we'll table it for now.
now.
Or committee. I feel like, I don't know, maybe they want to hear it.
Well, I'm kind of thinking maybe May 8th, if we can re-agendize it for us. I can present it to you.
Yeah, because I'd like to hear a little bit more about it.
Update, a lot of cities kind of scrapped hybrid because they were having Zoom bombings.
Right.
But there's been a lot of safeguards that have been
Yes.
put in place.
Yes, Morgan Hill put in place some
Yeah.
safeguards and they're back.
So we could update the matrix of what other cities in Santa Clara County, because that's kind of what we presented. Hey, we're kind of the loners,
Mhm,
not
mhm.
adopting, kind of updating it where we're all at now. And then if you guys think, hey, let's re-pursue this with a new council, I think we could send a new correspondence letter and, because, you know, as I'm thinking now, there's a lot of people who are afraid to come to city council
Yes.
meetings.
Very much.
You know, why would I go to a government meeting?
Or it's just they can't drive at night. I mean,
Yeah.
we've been through the whole debate of it. It just, the other thing that's being brought up with districting is the idea of equal representation. And so paired in that narrative is people who aren't able to make it, are they being equally represented? Are their voices being heard? And then the other county and state
Mhm.
meetings that I watch, people are participating online just fine. Our own council representatives have participated online at state and county meetings. So it can be managed. I mean, we are in Silicon Valley at 2025. We can absolutely
There are safeguards.
manage it, and it may be the right time to hop on to some of these other things that are going on in terms of representation.
Well, and accessibility, like you're saying, if people
Mhm.
can't drive here or don't have transportation, can't.
Yeah.
Or their kids, you know, one of the demographics that is missing are working parents with kids like myself. And they want to know what's going on, and I think that we can actually make it easier. A lot of the things that are happening at the schools,
Right.
people, you know, you get to the meeting, no one's there, and they can't make it, but they have a lot to offer. And I think it may be something to do, to revisit, since you've done all that work.
Talking about representation, we need to talk about accessibility as
Yeah.
well.
Well, on Monday, the gentleman that was there who had a hearing situation, what was happening there? I mean, he was given some sort of device and it was buzzing like crazy.
So
But he could have been home with the television or, you know, his computer up loud.
yes, so we provided a hearing device once you request and identify what the issue was. The buzzing sound was the hearing aids that were apparently too close together
They were
in the friend's pocket.
It was on him.
Yeah, it was not the listening.
Your equipment was
The
good.
listening device was fine. It just
Okay,
so that was the nature of
Microphone
that.
too close to the thing.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
in that case,
that went on.
it was actually like the instant the aids were pulled out, that's when they started chirping, making the dog upset.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so let's see, what else do we need to, do we want to change order or this is not, if the order of these doesn't necessarily correspond to the number?
Correct, so
Yeah.
the order is it's up to the commission if the order means anything or not in this
It's not a
particular.
priority.
Yeah, I think that because we're breaking up into little groups, I think we probably don't need to
Mhm.
say this one's our number one, this one's our number two. I mean, this is what we want to accomplish.
So one thing I would say that it should at least be numbered, so that way you can reference.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
your documentation, which
Mhm.
goes
So
up, so right,
we-
we can.
We could just order them or number them the way that you presented or you
Yeah.
repeated.
And we can put on the actual work plan document, you know, a note in not a priority order or something like that.
Mhm. 27, holy cow, that sounds like really far away, but it's right around the corner.
It's halfway through 26.
No.
Yeah, that's the fun thing with the school.
Yeah.
It's the year mentioned is the ending of the year, not the beginning.
All right, so
So
are we on 6.2?
6.2.
Budget requests for fiscal years 26 and 27. So I know I would like to see some funds available for orientation conference to learn about what other cities are doing with open government, if they're doing anything. I think we are only one of 2 cities in Santa Clara County that have open government commissions. And there aren't that many throughout the state, but I don't know what that would entail. I remember there used to just be a number for each commission to have. But if you could let us know things on the horizon from the city of cities or whatever they're called, California cities,
City.
Cal cities, yeah.
California cities.
Would you want any funds for the event? You wanna host
For the week?
that week?
Yeah. Um,
Well, we might need funds to print things. Do we have to pay for printing our commission or does the city pay that?
If it depends on a certain level printing. For that, probably not. I mean, depends on how widespread. If you're going to mail to every
I don't
house,
think
that would be very-
mailers
that would be very
is
costly thing.
practical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for just, a small collection of flyers, it's not.
Or
it's
even
not.
tchotchkes to give out to folks, right? You're inviting people to that table, you wanna something there.
And open government commission stress ball.
Yeah, something so they can take away, it could be something really, really small. If you wanna leave an impression.
So we have to decide by March 28th what number we want.
And would you have access to, in the past, what has the typical budget been?
I don't know, there's been a specific budget for, but there's a training budget that's been allocated for commissions generally.
For all of them.
For all of them. And so it's a pool that commissions use for training, business cards, name tags, this type of items. The thought here is if there's anything special above and beyond that you're wanting to have. So, commission training on open government specifically, if there's a conference or convention, that would be where you would want to have a higher budget because especially if it's a multi-day or there's travel involved, it's a cost item
Right.
above and beyond what normal receiving a virtual training or of our meetings would be.
Mhm.
So that's the concept with request. Others, I mean, there's nothing that technically curtails what you're requesting. There's not really been a budget item from government commission in the past, at least that I'm aware of.
Since I've been on the commission,
Mhm.
but the second year that I was on, it was discovered that there was a $300 budget available.
Mhm.
It was during COVID though, so nobody used it. But that's the only time I ever heard a number. Just went away after that.
But we would want to decide that today because we're not meeting and we're not to correspond and the deadline's 28.
But if you can think of something, or if you see some opportunity to learn about the Brown Act outside of here, there's a seminar or something, then maybe you can just ping Bryce and Jimmy and say, this cost is this, and depending on the number of commissioners that want to go, I don't know. I don't have a number in mind either because I don't know what's out there.
yeah, I looked at Cal Cities this morning.
They don't
and-
offer a lot.
Yeah, other
It's for
than
clerks.
being a clerk
Yeah.
or a council member,
Some of the ethics stuff, though, is relevant and harassment in the workplace. But I'm not sure how the harassment part fits here, but I know almost everybody has to do that at some point now in the world, or in the US anyway. But other than that, I mean, the Brown Act, the conduct on for us too.
Government conduct.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, that would be valuable. And there's like some little bits in some of those conferences for the.
But that budget is already set, like you're saying, that's a main pool item. If we wanted to go to
Yeah, if
those.
it's something that's bigger, like there was an open government conference.
That would be
something like
amazing.
That would be, that would be what you would want to request for, because that, you're talking thousands of dollars per commissioner for the travel and the lodging, the food. And for the training, like, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 ethics training, for product training, those would probably fall under that rule of funds. Getting that training is not terrifically expensive. So that would probably be something that we within existing budget.
So if we don't pick a number before March 28th, or we pick a number, we're glued to that.
There's still ways, so I mean, it's,
Supplemental request?
yeah, so you can still request, if something comes up and you become aware of
A man
something
who's
that
worked for
weren't
the government.
aware of, if you weren't aware of something at the time and a great opportunity, it's not a guarantee, but we can take a look and see if you can find existing budget appropriations. I know for example, our Horticulture Commission went with for the Love and Gilroy event, went to council
Oh.
midway through, and they have dedicated funding for it. It was outside the general fund. So it makes it easier to obviously approve that. But if there's something that pops up as you're going, and hey, this would be great for the Open Government Commission, we can take a look and see inside the budget if there's funding for it. And some commissions don't send anybody off to training, so some of their part of that pot might be available for consumption. So there's opportunities. So don't think that this is like you're done here. Maybe if there's a really big request and we actually need to write in money into the budget for it, then that's this opportunity. But there might be opportunities in the future for training and other activities that might be absorbed within existing budget limits.
Okay, thanks for that. So then I would just say, if you guys look around and you see something, you can determine a price and the relevance, then shoot Bryce and Jimmy an email and suggest it. And I don't know then what you and Jimmy have your heads together and Jimmy says.
So we can take a look at it and see, and then what we may end up do. Yeah, I'll talk to Jimmy how he wants to proceed with that.
Okay,
There's
okay.
Typically,
but initially, that's what.
initially that would be the purchase because of the time.
Mhm.
frame that we have, yeah.
Well, I think that if there was a history of a $300 negligible budget, that, I mean, we request that. I mean, if it's been historical.
Start there.
Yeah.
Historical, I just remember one year, but yeah.
That is that we, ask for that to be there.
Yeah.
If we do need to pull on it for, your.
So just to kind of give you context, that was 2020 for the last 4 years. It's been pooled. So the historical basis is the pool. The pool funding. 300. If there's something that pops up with $300,
Yeah.
we can find money.
Okay.
I'm not worried about it. It'd be something like
$300 each.
$300 each. Well, even. Yeah.
I mean,
It would be something like if you wanted to say, I don't know, if you wanted to have recommend hiring a specialist to sit there and to have independent minute taking or something. I'm trying to think of something.
Yeah.
That would require like a position that's a couple $100,000. Certain requests like that, like where it's like, okay, we actually have to actually create a budget, have council approve this particular item because the size is large enough, it can't be absorbed within the system. That's kind of the thought. That's where we have like, I know one commission is coming with a $10,000 request for certain events they want to do. So we're talking like larger budget things here. Like I said, $300, it's that we can. That's
Okay, so that'll be like a supplemental, hey, we want to do this. It's
yeah, hey, there's this great opportunity for having somebody come and speak to you about a particular fast for local government. Okay, this, $400 for them to come and do this training for $50. Okay, that's something we can.
Okay.
So,
All right, so we don't need to move or vote on any of the stuff we've discussed.
I'd like to get an action on the work plan to adopt the work plan, and
Okay.
then that's going to be the official recommendation that goes to them. to council. So, yeah, if there's a,
Okay, so a motion to adopt 1 through 4 of our work plan for 2026, 25, 26.
Yeah, make the motion.
We have a
So,
motion over
second.
here and Mr. Salmavia seconded. So that's adopt. Oh, no, we're just adopting it, right?
well, so, all in favor?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? So,
And so now we are on the city administrator's report
so,
update.
I didn't have an update, but, hearing that, we'll work on getting business cards and name tags, of commissioners. And then I'll coordinate with each of you on orientation for, Brown Act and all of our procedural training. Commissioners.
So can I push you on what the deadline is for that? I mean, I would really love that to be sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it really is going to depend on your individual schedules. So what I'll do is I'll probably end up reaching out for maybe over the next month, give you options each week of different blocks availability. We could do same time together. So it really just depends on your availability as far as weekdays or certain evenings and finding the
So you'll send us some options.
Yeah, so I'll email each of you and then if I hear the options. And then several people end up selecting the same one, then we'll try to do a joint one where, well, not three of you.
I was gonna say.
Three of you. Yeah, do that, but usually I do most of mine one-on-one, just because there's questions. Sometimes a little different in this commission, but other commissions, they'll ask, what if I want to do this? So, well, it's a conflict of interest, you can't do that. So there might be a need to have it be one-on-one, just to kind of, if there's something that we want to broach. Like I said, this commission, that's generally not, because you're not in a purchasing or recommending a purchasing kind of process. But, well, heck, so you get an email from me probably, the next week. Options.
Thank you for that, Bryce.
And then we'll connect on the email after the meeting.
Yes.
And I think that's really it at this point.
Okay, so call the meeting at 7:17, I think.
Yes.
7:17. Thank you.